Covid-19, the Ebola connection. Ebola and Covid share a connection. I thought I'd take a look at other real contagions to see what they could reveal about Covid. Seems I found something. Note to censors, we use only government data. If you have a problem with the results, speak to the government. So first off, the clinical side. Am I aware of any clinical connection between Covid-19 and Ebola? E.g., is it some mutant form of Ebola? No, which is actually good, because then we get to the fun stuff. Given that Ebola looks normal, I thought I'd nail this exponential yet again with a nothing to do with lockdown disease. That plan kind of went awry when, having done the work, it turned out that they did have lockdowns for Ebola, so I'm going to have to do some proper analysis if this is to be taken seriously. However, without overemphasizing the matter, what we do have is quite enlightening. For the ADHD afflicted, that would include me, who can't wait till the end, we'll do the punchline first. And I'm not being flippant about ADHD per se. Hint from the universe, most fast-brained humans would have been diagnosed with ADHD if it had been around when we were young. As to what fast-brained humans are, well, that's another story. Tree monkey. So here's Sierra Leone. Ebola. Now, if I hadn't told you that, would it look familiar? I downloaded the World Health Organization data and ran up a similar style spreadsheet for cases, autofit normal, and growth decline line. I've no idea why Excel shows the growth decline kinked. A quirk. It's actually continuing to descend, but no matter. Now, this is weekly data, but again, if I hadn't told you that, would you have noticed? And that's a pretty good autofit for the normal. A rare case of the autofit being fatter, but today is light relief day, so we won't get too heavy on that. Now check out the data at the top. This is Sierra Leone, happened to be the first country the World Health Organization listed with data, and we'll have about a dozen regions within that, which is why we're here. Total cases confirmed 9964, with the autofit giving 10,964. The autofit adds up cases to peak and doubles it for a total cases nominal, and then we set the mean to the peak day and adjust the standard deviation so the peak day cases match the actual. A simple formula, pretty neat. As ever, would you really have a problem if I said that looked pretty normal? And yet trolls still say you can't use normal, it's a distribution. Well, tell the virus that. Of course you can use any curve that fits. This fits pretty well. And likewise, the same obedient people don't concern themselves that this data would be roadkill on a Ferguson estimate as we showed for Sweden. Wrong curve, big problem. Massive exaggeration, no problem. As the actual is inside the autofit, we have an excess in reality of -9%, i.e. shortfall. Real was less than nominal. That's the basics, but the big one is that figure top right, 0.987. Does that seem familiar? When we did our growth analysis, we continually found that 0.985, 0.986 was a good fit for many countries and was the most popular choice. There were tight contagions with more aggressive declines, but 0.985 was standard. Here we have nothing to do with Covid-19, it's Ebola. Just another contagion out there in the world, and we're getting exactly the same key figure for the growth decline rate, to within 1/1000% for 0.986 versus 0.987. I can live with that. It really does seem like this is a magic number, not quite a pure constant like the speed of light, but maybe akin to the speed of sound. It varies, but 0.985 to 0.987 is a common standard range across contagions, even dissimilar disease contagions. That's remarkable, and of course out there in the world with R0, you don't even hear about growth decline. Of course not, it's exponential. But it's not, and R changing is a rarely discussed subtext couched in arcane verbiage. In fact, it occurs to me that while I've seen reference to R has changed or R0 has changed, I've not seen any discussion as to how it's supposed to change. What constitutes normal for a contagion? It's a mystery, a puzzle, constantly changing. Yet we have shown for weeks now, months in fact, going back to April, that normal is a good fit, and normal, by convenience, happenstance, has this unique feature that the growth decline factor is a constant. Thus we not only have a very natural model echoing far, which I consider an honour, unintended, unaware, but vindicated to find we're following in his footsteps, but we have from that a straightforward tracker of growth change, the growth decline line. You're looking at that, the constant rate decline from the autofit, with apologies for that kink. Bad Excel. And the actual data from the Ebola contagion, the purple or maroon, whatever. That alone would be an invaluable tool for monitoring contagions, just acknowledging that it's normal and being able to track that decline. Indeed, that's what allowed us to bust the myths of lockdown working for 72 countries. 52 fails, 18 no result, 2 no data from memory. But going beyond that to having a core figure for that growth decline of 0.985, that was a remarkable moment to find a constant at the heart of the contagions, the heart of the true virus. And now in Ebola we find that same constant, first time out, to within 1/500th or 1/1000th. I'd say that was a pretty damn good fit, and an astonishing confirmation that we're looking at the heart of what contagions do, regardless of which disease. So I'm just going to savour that and not worry too much about examining lockdowns, showing you Ferguson's version of Ebola, how the SEIR would exaggerate it grievously. No, this is a light moment, just enjoying a novel discovery. And as I'd intended to, let's go through the sub-regions listed in the World Health Organization dataset, which gives us a dozen or so curves to autofit so we can see just how readily Ebola also fits in with the normal curve. Farr was so right. Modern epidemiology so corrupted and wrong. Here's the first region, BO, and my apologies for having no idea if that's BO for some compound name or it really is just BO. Still, here's the spreadsheet calcs so you can get a glimpse of how this all works. Charts and Stats Essentials explains more. And here's just the chart. We're on vacation from COVID, so we're not going heavy. It's really just to see that what we've been doing with COVID translates readily to Ebola, showing some support for its validity. Really, it's just nod and say, hey, yeah, looks normal enough, and maybe check out the growth figure top right. 0.9754 is a narrow or sharper growth decline. Compare that with, for example, South Korea. Bombali, and another unexpected bonus. A lot of charts, many agenda EU core, but also a number of non-agenda Eastern European and elsewhere, nations had these fat tails, slow to decline without being the sideways fraud of the UK, USA and Sweden. Maybe it was fraud, or maybe it was normal. Being on non-agenda charts suggested normal. Seeing it here in a sub-region of Sierra Leone, I'd say that's a pretty fair way from agenda, I hope. So yeah, it seems that fat tails are normal. Think about that. Here we are in a COVID-safe, non-COVID environment and seeing a familiar pattern. That gives us assurance that we're looking at normal, not fraud. That's worth the effort of doing this many times over. Add to that the confirmation on 0.985, 0.987, and likewise, a spontaneous little exercise that's already shown huge dividends beyond the intent just to see if it was normal and show that. Nice one, unplanned, gratefully received, very neat. Bonte, that's quite charming. I feel they should be reversed, a normal contagion modelled by a box. But yeah, I guess it wasn't a big deal in Bonte. Kylahan, if your girlfriend's name was Kyla, could get confusing. And that's a pretty damn good rival for South Korea, with the near perfect fit for the normal, and just that little tail sticking out at the bottom. Nice one. Nostalgia. Here's the image I'm thinking of. It's a long normal fit for Korea that was available from way back, and Ferguson ignored this to sell us 530,000 UK deaths, 510,000 in Report 9. I'm numb. We had it all, and the world hasn't listened nor noticed. Korea was a good fit for normal and long normal, but long normal was just a fraction more sublime. How can you, in good conscience, ignore this stuff, as they did? I guess when you have an agenda, the real world and the facts don't matter. So yes, this extremely elegant fit for Kailahan brings back memories, and bizarre as that seems, just 3 months ago does feel like a lifetime away. A lot has changed since then. Mandatory masks and tests for one thing. Sad and scary. Cambia, not quite as elegant, but look at that growth decline alignment, nicely parallel the whole way through. You could swap Covid for Ebola and we could be tracking and analysing Ebola without skipping a beat. Kanema, and my God, will you look at that? It's like seeing a supermodel. You can't get a better fit than that, and it's got that ingenue loose hem at the tail. All we did, as we always do, is use a 5-day average to smooth out the data somewhat, and it produces art forms like this. To me, I'd always said those career charts were works of art, and I feel the same way looking at this. For the curious, this is the same chart with the original data points as dots. It looks horribly jagged with lines, but dots cloud around the average, so you can see we weren't making it up, just doing our standard thing, as others do likewise. Koinadugu, and wow, look at that, G equals 0.7805, losing 20% in growth a day basically. Straight up, straight down, done. Again, there are charts like this in Covid. Interesting contrast both here and in Covid with the "oh my God, one person has it, we're all going to die" media onslaught. Some places it just don't take, and it's done and dusted sharpish. Funny how they never notice that. Don't know. Didn't we just do this? I actually had to check, but no. And again, look at the G, 0.938, near standard versus 0.78, a very aggressive decline for those sharp outbreaks. And again, isn't this just a work of art? To me, she is, it is, whatever. Here we are taking a vacation from Covid, as it feels like, and it's like we're wandering through the Louvre, surrounded by elegance and beauty. The reality of Ebola may be harsh, but it's so perfect, dare I say, fraud-free. Obviously, I hope to show a normal world in another disease to back up our work, but I had no idea it would feel so relaxing, and more than that, peaceful or sublime. And as a vindication of our approach, seriously, isn't this just natural? I'd call that a vindication. Mayamba and a bit of a discordant jazz to shake us out of our reverie. Still got the basic normal, but looky here, a second outbreak. Not second wave, just another outbreak. It happens. We're reliving and revisiting so many of the concepts and experiences of Covid in this safe and Covid-free environment, and again, isn't that fascinating to see so much that's familiar and to be able to take that back and say Covid's just a virus? Think about how profound that is. We've been sold Covid the Destroyer or Covid the Barbarian, and it's transformed our people into zombies, hypnotized by the onslaught of meme after meme against them. It's just a virus. Looking at Ebola here, seeing all the same phenomena we've seen in our charts, it's all so familiar. And if Ebola and Covid are so similar in their contagions, then Covid's just a virus. Take it seriously, sure, but scare the planet? Not really. We do get back to Ebola's the most vicious virus on the planet, hardly good if you're saying Covid's like that, and they did lock down for Ebola for 3 days. Yup, a lot of good there, son. Yet precisely because Covid didn't have 50% death rates, as Ebola apparently has, and was brushed off in the Far East, we know it's a completely different affair. And that's what's been done in the name of Covid is a terrible criminal abuse. But no matter, we're on vacation. Port Loca, and what a nice chart. Look, hun, a cruise ship. Okay, maybe not. But these charts are remarkably tidy and elegant. Recall, I didn't choose Sierra Leone beyond its being the first World Health Organization data listed. It was such a mess trying to get the data extracted into usable form, I had no idea what I'd be seeing or whether it would be worth it. But it's beautiful, amazing, and yes, it was totally worth it. Puja Hun. They like their Huns apparently. And wow, slim, elegant, perfect with a teensy-weensy little hem at the tail. How about that? Tonkalili. Why am I thinking of a Polynesian dancer? Wonderful names. And wow, can't get much more perfect with two dainty little outbreaks later. Second ripple and third ripple, perhaps. War. Western area rural, and my god, the dotted real data is lost behind the autofit, again reminiscent of Korea and log normal, and it emerges at the close, perfection sublime. Wow, what? Western area urban, and this looks remarkably like the Sierra Leone summary, which I'd presume to be all Sierra Leone because it didn't have a region identified. Maybe it was just this. 1 second. Fascinating. They are different, but so similar. That's quite intriguing. I'd have to do a little more analysis, which for this vacation probably isn't worth it, but it looks like the urban experience dominates the national experience, showing with it that unusually sharp and hurried decline. Fascinating, but not COVID, so I'm not going to lose sleep over it. And that's it, a tour of another disease and finding so much that was natural and so much that was an elegant and perfect fit for the normal. Selling exponential should be a criminal offence, likewise using one of the official viral models, which are fit only for exaggerating and spreading fear and alarm. No prizes for guessing whether that is convenient, accident or intentional, and no one noticed. Still, our purpose to show that another disease could be normal has been fulfilled far better than I'd anticipated. It has been a pleasure and, as I say, like a vacation, wandering through a gallery, free for a short while from COVID, and enjoying the art forms. Vindication of our approach? I'd say so. I'm Andrew Mather, a 60-year-old Brit, mathematician, financier, technologist, husband, biker, pilot, healer, whatever. Feel free to get in touch, Andrew at peerlessreads.com or andrew@amather.com. Either should get to me.